Has this ever happened to you?
Wow, there is nothing on TV. I mean, nothing. I wish I had some place to turn to for suggestions.
Well, now you do. Movies, TV, music, games, and all things geek culture have a new home.
The Basic Ass Dudes podcast?
Yeah, but that was my line. Hosts Nolan and Joseph are just a couple of basic-ass dudes who enjoy the simpler things in life.
Wait, who's that random actor from that movie again?
I'ma get medieval on your ass.
Oh, you mean Vin Rames?
Yeah, that's the guy. Thanks, Basic Ass Dudes.
You're welcome. We're full of a bunch of useless pop culture facts.
Basic-ass dudes and basic-ass dudettes are welcome.
Hey, basic-ass dudes. Thanks for the great music suggestions.
Anytime. We love some basic-ass music.
New episodes drop every 2 weeks. But that doesn't really help you, does it? Because you don't really know if it's this week or next week, or maybe there's a show break. Or zombies have finally emerged and killed the host. Your best to just subscribe on YouTube, follow us on social media, and make it part of your routine to check daily for new episodes. Audio-only episodes are released the week after the video drops, wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts.
I can't wait for more Basic-Ass Dudes podcasts.
And we can't wait to give it to you.
Welcome to another edition of the Cognitive Discourse. On today's episode, I wanted to cover children and the competitive side of children, and what you as a parent, or even if you're not a parent, but what your views are on said subject. Me growing up as a child, I never got it easy, as far as I have a natural competitive edge about myself. I think we all have a natural competitiveness about us. But I feel like my generation was probably the start of the generation of people who, it was like the end and start of that competitive edge. What I mean by that is, I remember being young enough to where if you lost, you lost. If you won, you won. You won a trophy, a ribbon, or whatever like that. Ribbons were given out for where you placed in a competitive sport or activity. And I remember as I got a little bit older, that was when that curve started to happen, where you started to get ribbons for, every kid got a ribbon, regardless of what place you were in, whether you were last place, third place, first place, whatever. And I remember when that started to happen. Like I said, I think my generation was the last generation to have somewhat of a competitive edge to them. And then it started getting, well, you get a ribbon for just participating. And I'm going to let you know right off the bat, I'm one that I don't agree with that. I think people should be rewarded for, the work that they put in. Yes, give it your all, put effort into it. But if you want to have that ability to carry gold or silver or bronze, you got to work for it. You got to push for it. And, not everyone's going to be a winner. I think people need to, know the taste of defeat, know what it feels like to lose. I think it makes people stronger, and I think it makes you a better person. I think a lot of people have misconstrued that and took it as, well, no, we don't want to ruin their mentality and make them, self-conscious and blah, 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 blah. It's okay, well then let's teach our kids how to lose honorably, and instead of taking it as a negative, take it as, okay, well, what did I do wrong? Why wasn't I able to succeed the way I wanted to. Let's go back to the drawing board and figure out what went wrong and what we can do different the next time to be better. So I wrote down in just notes. Like I rarely take notes, but a little insight into how this show runs is I typically get an idea and then I'll jot it down, just a quick little thing on my phone, so I can do an episode on it later on. For the most part, I'm just kind of freeballing it here and just going on with how I feel, and I really don't have much talking points. I'm just kind of going with it. But on my phone, I did write not letting my kids win easy on games. And that's kind of like the topic that I wanted to bring it up. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up is because, my kiddos, I'm a gamer. I've been a gamer since I was a teenager. And, now my kids are my daughter is getting of the age of where she wants to start playing video games. I bought her a Nintendo Switch, and, she plays that. And then we have 2 PlayStation 4s in the house, and she tends to play my wife's PlayStation, because we have PlayStation Now, so she can have a ton of games to play. And I've been seeing her develop as she gets older on the technicality of games. Now, the thing about it is, I wanted to get her some kiddie games. I wanted her to have something that was a little more simplistic for her to play, to just get the basics down. And because PlayStation really doesn't offer that. The Nintendo Switch is a little more kid-friendly. And I even bought her the Sega Genesis, the little Sega Genesis, the emulator thing that they came out with is like $60, and it has like a few Sega games on it, and I think it's like 40 games on it or something like that. I got it for her. I play it occasionally too, but I got it for her because there's a lot of side scrollers and stuff on there, so she can kind of learn how to play a game with minimal buttons. But I was actually watching her the other night, and she was playing one of the Lego games. I think it was the Pirates of the Caribbean, I think is the one that she was playing. But she was playing that the other day, and I remember watching her when she first started trying to play those games and how stuck she would get and how frustrated she would get. She'd get mad, and she'd put her first her first signs of rage quitting were kind of starting to seep through. But as she's gotten older, I would go and help her, and the wife would help her too. The wife's not as big of a gamer as me, but we would help her, get to the next level or whatever. But I would always sit down with her and explain to her, this is what you need to do, and this is how you pull these moves off. And I did it occasionally. There were other times where I was like, just figure it out, baby girl. You got this. Figure it out. That's the whole point of playing it. Is you got to figure it out. And I've noticed as she's starting to progress, she's getting better at playing the game. I was shocked. I was watching her, and she was just zipping around the level, knew exactly what to do, knew what the buttons did, and she's gotten really good at it. But where I wanted to talk about the competitive side is that there's times that we do play the Switch together, and she has a game that it's like the Mario Sonic Olympic thing, and we play that one. And, it's more of a family style game. So me, the wife, and her will play. And again, like I said, I'm a competitive person in games, and I don't like to lose. I don't think anybody does. And, when I started playing games with her, I came across a crossroads, and it's like, well, do I let her win and give her this false sense of victory, this false sense of confidence? And again, how well can I play that off? Like, oh man, baby girl, you beat me again. How long before she catches on to that and is like, okay, my dad's letting me win, and then it could, turn on its head, and look bad for me, because then the rest of her life, if she actually does naturally beat me, she may think like, oh, my dad's just letting me win. Or do I play like I normally play, and that way when she does beat me, it's like, dude, you beat me. Like, good job. You have surpassed my skill set. And I figured it was smarter. It was a smarter choice to just kick her ass while she's young. And when she actually is able to beat me, then it's like, hey, you won. Good job. And she even told me one time, she's like, Daddy, like I keep losing. I'm like, well, we got to practice. You got to get better at it. And she said, Daddy, why are you always winning? And it's like, well, because I've gotten good at it. You'll get good with it over time. And so that's kind of the lesson that I'm trying to teach her. And it's going to be the same with my son. If you want to win, you got to be better than the person you're playing against. And the best way to do that is to continuously practice, to notice your mistakes and your flaws, find out what your strengths are, and find out what your weaknesses are, and be able to stand up and be confident enough in yourself to be like, this is where I'm weak and this is where I'm strong, and I need to focus on those weak points to make those weak points become strong points. But I've always wondered how other people interpret that. Because it's not that I'm trying to be a mean person. It's not that I'm trying to... people may say, oh, or you just can't put your ego aside or put your pride aside and let your little girl win. And, my response to that is, well, no, I'm teaching her that in order to be good at something, you got to put in the work. And that life doesn't do handouts. Life isn't going to feel sorry for you. It's just going to keep going. So you either stand up and tighten your bootstraps and compete to be the best that you can be, or you take the cheap route and complain, whine, bitch, moan, and groan because you're not as good as everybody else. I don't want my kids to fall into the victim mentality. I don't want my kids to fall into an envy mentality. I don't want them to envy other people. Like, well, that person's like, why is that person so successful? Or why is that person got so much money? Or why is that person better at this than I am? I want them to not worry about that and be the best that they can be every day and better than they were yesterday. So that's what I'm trying to instill in my kids. Like, if you want to be good at this game, then put some time into it. You want to be good at drawing, put some time. My daughter's gotten really good at drawing. She's only 5. And she's always kind of shown an interest as far back as when she could hold a pen and a pencil, which was, around 2 years old. She started doodling on stuff. And she's always had the concept of, like, shapes, which was really cool. Like, even at 2, she was drawing faces, and she was drawing the shapes fairly well. I have some artwork of hers when she was really, really little. And she understood the concept of the shape of a face and how eyes work and the shape of a mouth and nose and ears and, body form. Like she's very, very good with that. She has the eye for that. And so, like I said, like with that, I give her positive reinforcement. And, I've seen her just develop, but I always encourage her to continue doing it. And like I said, with video games, when she loses, she doesn't like it. She's gotten better with it. But then that's when she does win, we make it a bigger deal. Like, all right, you won. We help build that excitement and build that confidence in her. Granted, like I said, she can't beat me yet. She can beat her mom. Her and her mom go back and forth in video games, and a lot of that is because her mom isn't even trying to let her win. Her mom is just at a lower skill set when it comes to video games than I am, because I've been playing games for years, whereas my wife hasn't been playing as long, and she's still learning. She jumped in the fray right away into first-person shooters, and she was getting her ass handed to her in first-person shooters. And, she plays with a group of friends of mine who they are all very understanding of her skill set. So when it comes to us all playing together, they understand that, and we tend to carry her, but it's not, no one gets upset about it. You know what I mean? And that's the thing that, like, I think people need to separate is, especially with my kids, when I'm teaching my kids to be great at something, I try not to discourage them by talking shit to them. I don't do that. But what I do happen to do when we're playing is I play to my abilities, and when they lose, I let them know, like, you'll get there. I'll give them pointers and stuff like that if they're willing to listen. And that's what I want my kids to do, is understand that if you get beaten by somebody, it's okay to ask questions. if somebody beats you in something, it's okay to be like, hey, get some guidance and mentoring from said person. That's the only way you can learn to be better too, is not being afraid to ask questions, not being afraid to look at people who are better than you, that you look up to, and ask them for pointing. Now, granted, not everybody's going to be willing to share that information. Some may be assholes about it. But at the end of the day, you just keep moving forward. And that's kind of how, I live my life. I live my life by constantly trying to learn how to do stuff. This podcast, YouTube, my music, I do everything on my own. And it seemed like a very big mountain to climb. And it was a lot to take in, and I still procrastinate a lot, and it's an everyday battle for me, to try to stay on top of things. But at the end of the day, there's a sense of pride and a sense of accomplishment knowing that I do all this stuff on my own. All the editing, all the recording, all the content, brainstorming, all the music, all the video editing, like all that stuff is done by me. And, I'm a one-man operation, and I love, like I said, there's a sense of pride in that. And it's the same way with video games. It's the same way with, sports. It may come off like I'm kind of being a dick to my kids with that, but understand that when I play like a team-based sport, I'm all about, my team. And I remember that in school, playing, in gym, playing, hockey, when we used to play like floor hockey in the gym. We used to play dodgeball. We used to play, baseball and stuff like that. And that was one of the things that I still remember my coach pulling me aside and asking me why I'd never joined his basketball team, or why I've never thought about joining football or anything like that, because he liked my mentality. I had a captain mentality. I had whether we were down or we were up, I was always trying to inspire my teammates and push them to the next level, and give that positive reinforcement. Because again, I don't like losing, and I don't like the feeling that I get of defeat. But I know that it exists. I know that it's a possibility, and I'm not going to let it destroy me either. Again, you go back to the drawing board and you figure out what you did wrong, and then you try to fix it. But I'd love to hear somebody's point of view on that other side of the fence. If you've completely disagreed with me, I'd love to know what you think. Because like I said, that's how I'm raising my kids. My kids are going to grow up knowing that competition's good, competition's great, but understand that if you're going to compete and you want to compete at the highest level, that you need to put in the work, and that you need to understand that there is a possibility that you will lose. But to take that loss and to understand that losing is an opportunity to grow. But I'd love to hear, if you're listening to this and you completely disagreed with what I'm saying, I'd love to hear your side of the story. I'd love to if you can email me at cognitivediscoursepodcast@gmail.com, and I'd love to, see your opinion, read your opinion on the show, and have that dialogue. I'm open to, disagreements, as I've said in prior episodes, but it's a short episode for today. I just wanted to kind of get that out there, and I wanted to see, if, especially my listeners out there who have kids, are you kind of on the same playing field as me? Are you raising your kids that way as well? Or are you more of a parent that's like, hey, as long as you participate, you get a ribbon type parent? What side of the fence do you lean on? And let me know. As always, all the links will be down in the description. Leave a comment. Let me know where you stand. If you prefer to email me, like I said, you can email me at cognitivediscoursepodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear what you got to say. And other than that, enjoy your Friday. Have a safe weekend. And until next time.